and we are here. Welcome to Yes 30 Abundance and Wealth. We are on the network of doing things in a different way. I'm so excited that you made it here today. We are going to have you meet the founder. Joyce Chow is the founder of iHollywood and also the director of the Tokenize. And she is going to bring to us she's going to bring to us what's happening in the evolution of technology and storytelling. I'm sure you're paying attention. The game has changed. We have AI, blockchain, we have the narrative being created. We understand that there's an agenda from time to time. And so I thought with Yes 3 Network that we can create our own agenda. And so I'm bringing on founders that are making a difference in the world. They're speaking to the heart of the matter. Why do we do the work that we do? Why are we in a position to make global change, especially in Web3? So I would like to take this time to share with you a little bit about Joyce's background. Now she's no newbie. She has referred to herself as the OG and also pals around with a lot of the people that you probably see in the news, from some of the biggest advisors in crypto and blockchain, from Michael Turpin to Brock Pierce to some of the greatest who have created the world that we live in today. Joyce Chow is the founder of iHollywood, which is one of the first festivals to award NFTs to their filmmakers. And she has created an empowerment movement with storytellers that change lives. Her background as an ecosystem builder is all about honoring the creators. She's an actress, a writer. She started in 2020 with Y Combinator as a graduate. She has also an Oscar qualified producer, director, and she has an Emmy. She has been an Emmy judge. And so I'll stop with so much of your bio because why wait? Let's get into it. Welcome to the stage, Joyce Chow.
Thank you, Brandi. Thank you for being here. And of course, it happens to be about one of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we got to a level of communication recently that was so intimate and so rejuvenating that I thought we would just start with being very humble and being human. We get so caught up in technology that we forget that there is another person on the other side of the puzzle, right? So share a little bit about, what is going on in your world? What are you finding the most attractive right now? And then we'll talk a little bit about your business too.
Okay. We are I'm just so excited about the entire world that we live in right now because we are living through a change.
Mm.
Okay, a monumental change. If you go back and look at history, it's like when the internet first came on. Right now, it's AI, Web3, and we are right now still at the very, very beginnings. And so, if you go back to like the Chinese characters, which one is it? Is when you have opportunity, it's danger and crisis.
Mm.
Okay, and it's those times of uncertainty that the people that can create the vision that people can work around, that you can really make massive changes. Because if everything's like ho hum every single day, everybody gets kind of comfortable. It's like these are the times when the changes are made that will change our entire future.
Yeah. And as a founder of iHollywood, but not only a founder of iHollywood, you're a founder of many projects. Can you share a little bit about, how did you get started in becoming an entrepreneur and what made you make that leap?
Probably a disaster. And I say probably a disaster because most innovation happens because somebody saw a need. They were uncomfortable in a situation and they wanted to make a change. When I first got into media, it was because, well, I mean, I first started with a blog about the life from the perspective of an LA show dog. And it was purely just for the fun of it. But when Hurricane Katrina happened, then I thought about how you could help the animals. And it all started with, what can you do? Where do you see the holes? And where can you really make a difference and impact? And so I started connecting the people, calling the people, not just listening to what was happening on the news, and connecting the dots, because there was a huge difference as to what was actually happening versus what you were hearing was happening. And that started me on this journey of media, right? And then it was kind of almost like, wait a minute, because people started calling you and say, can you help this? Can you cover this? And you're like, wait a minute, what I say is actually making a difference. I'm helping people. And, there's this part of you that feels totally fulfilled because you really are making a difference and impacting people's lives. Okay. And then it was, okay, I got here. What else can I do? And how can I advance it? And then it almost became like a game, because it's like, okay, if I want to go to here, I need to figure out, right? You're going from A to B. How can you get there most efficiently? Because I don't know about you, but most of us do not have an endless supply of money, or, you know what I mean? And you want to do it efficiently. And it's like, who do you know that can help, maybe give you some insight? And that's kind of like the power of the community with what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
Because it's almost a collective mindset, because you'll know something that I don't know, or you may have some insight that may, and I'm going to say this really strongly, is that a person by themselves may get to the same goal, but if you have a group of people, you could probably get there a lot faster and a lot more efficiently. And that's kind of like what's going on with AI, right? Is
Yeah.
in the development process, instead of things that used to take a month, 2 months, 3 months, may now take a matter of minutes. Okay. So when I started like pulling everything together, it went from one to another to another. And then I just started doing media. And then the film festival was, okay, I don't know how many storytellers you have on here, right? Or actors or actresses, producers. It was, we wanted to increase our star meter. And people go, what in the world is a star meter? Why is it important?
Please explain that. I've heard you basically went into IMDb as an actress and or writer, and you said, let's increase our star meter. And the star meter is, we all know, is how many stars do you have? Are you actually relevant in this industry? And so you went in there and you just tell them your secret sauce.
Okay. So in LA, so you have friends that are actors, producers, right? You have, and PR people, and we're like, how do we increase our star meters? And the reason for increasing the star meter, it's kind of like social media. The more followers you have, the more clout you have, right?
Right.
That's the impact and the perception. So part of it was, okay, and this was before social media was as big as it is, right? So now they would do their star meter and they would look at their social media. Before, they were only looking at the star meter, like, okay, how do we increase our star meter?
Yeah.
Right. And it all has to do with your network, who you're connected with, and how much activity is going on. Does it sound like socials, right? And so we said, okay, if we do a series of short films, then we can all put them on IMDb, and we can increase our star meter, because then we'll all be related, and collectively as a whole, we could all do better. Right.
Mm.
So we did all these little short films, and it was, you could appreciate this. It was, what was it? I said they're short films, 15 seconds.
Mhm.
Okay. You have 15 seconds on a subject matter to, let's say, building the future with Web3. You have 15 seconds to tell a story.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we took all these stories that were collected and then created a broader story. And then, lo and behold, after we created all this, the people actually wanted to see it. Right. You're like, We were just doing it to increase the star meter.
So you basically were ahead, light years ahead of what I'm currently using and calling macrodose and microdose media. So macrodose is a high, it's basically 1 to 3 minutes. This is the format. We've heard of that, right? Reels.
Mhm.
And then the microdose is segmented out of the 1 to 3 minutes. So it's microdosing formula to help your brain with that problem we all have called dissonance, right? We have cognitive dissonance. We swipe, swipe, swipe. We are a culture of swiping. You know, we're you're truly light years ahead, and it worked.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you carry that on in your media platform today?
Well, so here's the thing is part of it was I was doing work with CNN and they had changed their format in that they wanted us to do 15-second videos. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of like 15 seconds. What kind of story are you going to tell in 15 seconds? Right? Because everybody else was doing longer form. And so I thought, okay, we can create a story and do this. And it's kind of like an experiment to see where it would go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap that around to what our main topic is because, we are in this new fourth industrial revolution. We know that
Mhm.
blockchain technology is tying us all together. We know that spatial web computing hasn't even scratched the surface right now. And we are just about to ramp up and go to the top, right? We are going to the moon. In fact, we have gone to the moon. There's all these technologies, but the one technology that hasn't changed is this
Mhm.
is is who you are. It's this brain, it's your experience, it's your personal value and values in a marketplace. So how has educational storytelling in the age of AI and innovation, blockchain, going to change how we are as humans and how our finances may change because of it?
Wow, that is a whole whole topic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna first start with mindset,
Yeah.
and that is the story you tell yourself shows the mindset you have, right? Your mindset creates your future, and if you believe that you can create your own future, you are exactly now where you are supposed to be based on the stories you told yourself before, right? And the power of that is that the stories that you tell yourself and the stories that you create to help impact the world will create your future. And that's really, really powerful when you really think about that.
Hmm. Yes, we get to digest that for a moment and really embody the power of storytelling.
Mhm.
This idea that story is a store of units, right? We haven't been taught this mathematical equation, right? I am highly an evolved human being, and so are you. So we can talk this way on this show because it's my show. 3, 6, and 9 exponential value system, the magic behind 72 compounding, we know that we're going to hit the mark of this phenomenon. But if we're paying attention and we have our store of units, the story, right? The store of units and me, the story, then we can share that wisdom with others as they start to rise to the top. Here's why storytelling is so important. Storytelling is passed on through oral tradition. We know that the ancient masters and the indigenous tribes have brought to us oral tradition. They didn't have AI unless you can say we are the AI. That's a different show. We won't go too far down the rabbit hole. That oral tradition was vibrational, was coherent, was collective, conscious. Then it was created and then shared. right? So it wasn't until written value system, and then of course then stories changed over time, and then you have somebody telling the narrative. So I went very far for people to understand how important what you say matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so with your format, short form and long form, macro to micro, where do you see the market heading when it comes to storytelling and then the financial marketplace? Because these two do tie in. Absolutely.
Well, from the macro perspective, or actually, I see a lot more short films,
Mhm.
okay? Because, first of all, the generations now have a very short attention span. They don't listen to the longer form unless what you practically have to chain them down, or it has to be really enticing. Even the documentaries that I'm looking at now, if you look at them, they're very fast paced, like they're pulling you in. And it's a style of storytelling and filmmaking where it's very short from segment to segment,
Mhm.
and that is intended to hold your attention, right? But when you go to storytelling, and we talk about how it has an impact, you think about history. The stories that you hear about what happened in history, they often said it was the victors that wrote the history. If you think about Star Trek, they would look down at Earth and they would look at our TV, and Earth is like that, right? Or it's on the internet. So whatever the internet says, that must be true, right? So it doesn't matter whether
Mhm.
you personally believe it or not, or whatever you are doing, but there
Mhm.
are people that believe whatever they see or whatever. So it also goes back to the fact of how important your community is and who you listen to. Okay. And if you think about people from, say, let's say the US to Russia to China, it's like people are people wherever they are, but it's the culture that impacts what they think, right? What they think about us or what you think about them. Because, right? And it impacts how they act.
That's where the behavioral change occurs. So if we were to segment for keeping this, at a digestible understanding is here we are, we have Joyce Chow. Joyce Chow created short form, long form, short form. She didn't know what she was doing. She did it because she wanted to, hack the system, if you will, getting her 5 stars on IMDb. But because of that, it had a ripple effect. And we saw that it works. So we do it again. We track, trace, and monitor the things that work. So your A/B split testing, that was one way, but now it's different. So
Mhm.
A/B split testing is what you were doing and what some people are still doing in storytelling. They want to make sure that they have their ideal audience. They want to make sure that they have niched down. I don't believe in that culture. I believe where you're at is we don't need the masses to make the change. We need the right people, the right leaders to formulate, pay attention to the words, formulate a new society that is for benefits,
Mhm.
meaning that they have values that are based on value systems. And these are the people that you get to hang out with. And these are the stories you get to write. These are the oral traditions that get passed down. Now, how does that look for ROI in a business? Ah, you know, we got to test market it. So, Joyce, if you were to look at the world and media and storytelling and education based on AI and blockchain, and you see it 5 years from now, what does this look like to you, being the visionary you are?
Oh my gosh, 5 years out, that's like a lifetime. That's another Bitcoin super cycle. Okay. So,
Explain Bitcoin super cycle since you said it, and then we'll pick that piece up.
okay. Bitcoin super cycle, first of all, is a new book that's coming out by Michael Turpin. He's one of the OGs of the space, and he has taken a look at Bitcoin through the years and has noticed that there are patterns based on mining that react with Bitcoin. Okay. And part of it is that Bitcoin has a limited supply, as we all know. And based on the halving, which is how much Bitcoin the miners make, you can predict what is going to happen with the price of Bitcoin. And you predict that even if Mount Gox is doing their distribution in the month of July 2024, and you're wondering why Bitcoin is just kind of stable and it's not moving right now because we just had the halving, right?
Interesting. Mhm.
But if you look at traditionally the market right now, traditionally during the summer, I say summer, calendar summer, not during the four seasons, right? It
Mhm.
has kind of been through a lull. The stock market itself, too, is also usually through a lull during the summer months because there's not as many people that are active. They're taking family vacations,
Right.
right? And so what happens is if you look at the cycles as to what happens, it drives what also happens with other coins and tokens and other things that are going on with the entire the ecosystem. So, for example, if you are a startup, when is the ideal time to go ahead and raise money?
Oh,
Ah,
are you asking me?
all right.
I mean, every day, every day is the right time to raise money. I mean, we have to keep, I mean, if you're going to look at it as season, you want to make sure that it's around, for me, is around before taxes for tax benefits if you're in a benefits company. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I should. You caught me off guard.
Right? Because people go, what? There's a season?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at traditional VCs, okay, they have like a 10 years, right? Which means they raise the money, they have the money, they have to go find the companies, invest them, and they need to exit within 10 years. That's the traditional model. Okay. If you look at something in blockchain right now, we're in 4 year cycles, which
Hmm.
also means you have to raise your money, you have to build it, and you have to get out while
Okay.
the market.
Yes. You refreshed my memory. So basically, when you see the market going down, that's usually after everybody's pulled out their money and they start to build and build and build.
Yeah,
Again, the tech, it's not that it's a down market, it's actually a build market, a build season, as you say.
right. So right now, if you are a startup, if you're in blockchain and AI, right now, you better be building and raising funds right now because this cycle right now will go, if it follows traditional patterns, until about December 2025, which means you got to raise your funds, you got to build it, and you have to exit in a year and a half. Okay.
I envy startups. I do because it's just so hard, from bootstrapping to getting their seed or their angels and then having to prove their model and their MVP, minimal viable product, and then go to market. You know, this is why I started the fintech PR company is so that we could tell the stories of empath. And going back to my original question to you is we see that we can support an industry through storytelling and through building trust. So, how does that 10x for a founder like yourself to go to market with all of the tools? Is it the best thing ever, or is it scary to not know the tools and have to start from scratch? Like, where do you see this industry of storytelling going when it comes to the financial marketplace?
Wow. That's almost like, first of all, if you don't have a good story, you're probably not going to raise money very easily. And I say that because if you look at the successful companies that are raising money, often there's a founder that's very good at telling the story, but they have to have the tech behind them to support them. If they don't have the tech behind them to support them, they're going to raise the money and then go nowhere. Okay. If they have great tech and do not have a good story or do not have a front person, right, to tell the good story, they will have great tech and will not have the funds to complete their tech or will not grow as much as they need to. So you really need a good storyteller or front person, and you need the good tech to go ahead and make it happen.
Yes, and you need the team, because although they're not seeing that if the system breaks, it's broken. I really believe that there's a hybrid model that's happening, and we're going to see more of it coming out. We have heard in the news with our former president, Donald Trump, and also with Biden, media is going to be changing and is already changing. We already see what Elon Musk has done with Twitter Spaces and understanding how he's driving a market, and anything goes with him at times. But ultimately, if you haven't created your silo and your community that is the narrative forming for your company as a founder,
Mhm.
then you are missing a huge piece to the puzzle of what business development is. And I know just by surveying, when I ask for people, do they have a fintech strategy? Do they understand the importance of media behind their launch? Sometimes it's the lowest amount of budget put towards that for whatever reason. They just think that's not going to be at the top of the food chain. So, if you have any advice, and as we start to wrap up, if you have any advice to founders out there and their creative minds, what should they do to go to market when it comes to these innovative tools like AI and blockchain, token economics? Maybe it's a token company, maybe it's not. Is there any advice that you would give to a startup moving towards this 5-year projection of what they should do?
I would say go all in, and all money is not equal. And I say that because if you take money from the wrong source, it will send you in a different direction. If you take the money from the right source, as in the the partners that you take money from that can help you build and create your vision. And it's a relationship and a partnership when you're working with them. Because if you don't get along with them, it's not going to work. In many respects, it's as important as your second person, right? That you're with all the time, your significant partner. So
Mm-hmm.
I will say you are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you. And it is a partnership. It is not just someone you're hoping to make, right, to get you funded. And also along that funding route, when you're looking for the technology, there are protocols that are looking for companies to work with, to put on their platforms, that have the developers, that have the pocketbooks, right? That can
Mm-hmm.
help get you started. So you can look for straight investments, you can look for protocols, you can look for, and I say this is kind of like in making movies. Look for money wherever you can, right? Right? And it's from the sources that you have relationships with. For example, if Brandy has her best friend is XYZ, right? Or whoever, start with the relationships you have because they can help and guide you. Okay. The world we are going to have in 5 years. Wow. I'm just like, yes, that's about it. Wow. It's not even going to look at anything like what we can imagine right now.
Yeah. Are you I know this answer, but I'll have you answer it. Are you world dystopia? Are you world protopia? Are you world utopia future?
Oh my gosh. I'm just going to say utopia because
Okay. We can say that. We can say that on whatever we want. Here we are, two beautiful, intelligent people coming together to inspire action and talk to the founders out there. Joyce, any last words as we start to come to a close for the market as we emerge in this utopic storytelling world that you're in?
um, the world is your oyster. Take advantage of everything that you can. Build the right teams, build the communities, the closest people. You know, they used to say that Tell me who your 5 closest friends are, and I'll tell you where you're going. Remember that. There's a reason why they said that. And Brandi, you've built a phenomenal community. I love what you are doing and the impact you're making. And here's the thing is, the world is your oyster. What do
Yeah.
you want?
I love it. Thank you so much for being here and being a beneficial presence on this planet. Every time you are seen, I just feel so happy. And I get to see you right after this recording. So
Hey,
more, you had a birthday yesterday. I'm going to celebrate your life being here on this planet. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. Thank you.
thank you so much, Brandi. Phenomenal. Keep doing it.
Thank you. And for all of you out there, the wisdom behind this channel is coming from deep within. Yes 3.0 is not about your work or your school or institution. It's about your third place. It's about your community. And so I'm bringing storytelling to an entirely new horizon, which means that we get to become educated, informed, and we get to be a contributor to this new world. So if you're curious about being on this show and you are a founder and you are raising capital and you have a story that is beneficial to others, I would like to know more about your company. So please contact us, leave comments, and ask Joyce Chow questions in the bottom line here. We are paying attention and we're coming for you to help support you. Again, my name is Brandi Veil. Thank you for watching, and we'll be doing this once again next week, live stream on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter Spaces, and Facebook. So find us there at Brandi Veil. Thank you so much, and thank you, Joy. Joyce, I'm so happy that you made it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandi.
Thank you. Bye for now. And I'm going to